yesterday. What kind of the things you spoke about to work on?
So some things we're going to work on were when we are at Junction to fully stop and observe properly, at least minimum of 2 times on each side.
Yeah.
And then even when you are turning and committed to it, keep checking while you're doing it, steering.
Yeah.
When you're going past parked cars, leave at least the doors open, open door space. You don't need to indicate when you're going around parked cars. When you're turning into a side road, you don't need to fully stop. Just brakes, slow the speed, get the bike point, check, and carry on. And yeah.
Cool. You've got very good theory memory.
Yeah.
Have you always been like that? You've got quite a good sort of memory of stuff in theory. You just remember stuff. Why?
Yeah, I've had that very small as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're good at stuff like sort of maths and that, because that's like where you have to. A lot of that's about memory almost.
I'm more.
Or kind of more.
No, I'm more for like if I do something myself and it's like more like a photographic memory for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if I'm actually doing something and I make a mistake and I'm told there and then, I will remember that.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm like doing something by myself, for example maths, I'm not going to remember it.
Oh, okay. So you've got someone to
Yeah. And I think when I'm doing it with someone and I'm picking up mistakes as I go along, I've been told there and then, it's easier for me to learn from them and remember them as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And you quite briefly mentioned that we normally want to keep about a car door length from parked vehicles.
Yeah.
I suppose something we didn't speak about last time, if you can't, because sometimes the roads be too narrow, sort of for various reasons. So what do you think would be the solution if you can't keep a car door length?
Before I get onto that, there's one other thing I just remembered is when we are going down a road and there's a vehicle in front of us and obviously we can't see, so again this relates to what you just said as well, is to come like into where the centre line is.
Oh yeah,
And don't go too into the curb or too near behind the car. So go into the middle.
A bit like I'm doing here.
Yeah.
I like that oncoming vehicle, the blue vehicle does as well.
Yeah, because you can't go into because it's obstructing you, and then you have to stay out here so other oncoming vehicles can see you. You can see oncoming vehicles as well.
Yeah, and it also doesn't look like you're doing what?
Parking.
Yeah, exactly. So that then overrides the need for like signalling,
Yeah.
because the position is your signal. The fact you're, you might call a holdback position,
Yeah, if
kind of
you do
is
that.
your signal.
Yeah, if you do that, another vehicle might think you're parking, and they just might drive, and you might swerve at the same time.
Yeah, which I suppose also why you also check your mirrors as well, before you steer around stuff. If your position correctly, things like that shouldn't really happen very often. Yeah, so if you can't keep a car door length then, due to like the width of the road for example, what do you think would be your plan then?
Check if there's any oncoming vehicle that do when it's safe to do so.
But even if you can't, so even if you're forced into being close to parked vehicles due to the width of the road, or if a situation, you know what, sometimes where the roads can be kind of like almost wide enough for the parked vehicle, you and an oncoming vehicle to fit, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But then by doing that, you might mean that you have to be closer than a car door length from the parked vehicle, which sometimes happens.
Let's just be very careful.
Yeah, just by more caution. Basically reduce your speed. Yeah. Because you're not going to be able to. Well, there's another vehicle getting quite close to that Range Rover. Yeah, because of course I do keep the car door length. If they do open the door, it's not going to affect you too much. If you're closer to the car door length, you're going to have to probably stop if they open their door. So the closer you'll have to get to them, the slower you'll have to go. A good rule of thumb, as I mentioned while we think about it, is a car door length is roughly about a metre, or kind of for the sake of this little way to think about it, it's about 3 foot. So I don't know if you're aware, meters about 3 foot or so. miles per hour. If you can only keep 2 foot, then that means no more than 20 miles per hour. If you can only keep 1 foot, then no more than 10 miles per hour. And if you can't keep 1 foot, it's probably mean you shouldn't be going through in the first place. You're supposed to be stopping. And one of the other sort of key things when you think about, sort of things you mentioned about you getting much better at last time. One thing which we're also going to be thinking about today is when we're slowing, is making sure we're not pressing the clutch or changing down the gear too early. Because what did we notice was the effect on, do you remember on the roads kind of towards the end?
Yeah.
Do you remember what did we say was the effect of that? What did you feel was happening? Did you clutch too early?
It was slowing down too early, then I was having to keep pressing gas a little bit more.
That wasn't what I was thinking of, because that can sometimes, depends on the road. The one I was thinking of when it's actually going downhill. So it depends on the road. If it's going uphill when you go clutch too early, it won't not make it, like you're saying. But if it's going downhill and you press clutch too early,
speed will increase.
Yeah, it's going to increase the speed, because as soon as that clutch goes down, you're disconnecting the engine, and the car's essentially at the mercy of gravity. So uphill, it will lose speed and might not make it. Downhill, it will accelerate and do the complete opposite of what you're trying to do, because of course you're probably trying to slow at that point, and by going clutch too early, actually speed up, and it'll be harder to sort of brake and stop. So it's just getting used to controlling the pedals. So like if you're just at very low speed, like say like you're 10 miles an hour or so, it's fair enough to go clutch pretty immediately. But if you're at higher speed like I am sort of here, I'm at 26 miles an hour, you've got to have more sort of in your mindset of use the brake a lot more first. Like here I'm just using the brake, I'm not using the clutch yet. Going back to the gas a bit, then I'm using the brake, still using the brake. Now I'm on the clutch, and now I'm changing into gear 1. I'm going to do my gas and biting point so I can try and keep the car moving to turn it after that car. It's tricky because pedals annoyingly kind of work differently in different situations. Like say some speeds is, I'll say very low speed is clutch pretty immediately, but higher speed you have to use the brake a lot more. The thing with driving, of course, it's not sort of black and white. It often depends on the sort of situation. In here, just this car here, because it's something to think about when you're reversing as well, because if we're moving when a car's going past us, reversing back, any problem you think that might cause, or what, any ideas why I might have stopped there when that car was started to come past? I suppose think about how they might feel, or how if you're that driver, if you're driving along and as you're driving past the parked vehicles, one of them was reversing back as you were going past them. I know how I would feel. I don't know if you'd be the same.
I would probably slow my speed.
Yeah.
Maybe I might think that the person who's reversing might come out. Or
yeah. So basically it's going to make you a bit nervous of like not knowing what they're doing, because they're a bit unpredictable if they're reversing.
Yeah.
So that's why the reversing vehicle like me there just stops. It doesn't cause any of that, like, oh, what are you doing? I better slow here. Which is the great thing to do if you're that car there reversing, but to avoid all that concern in the first place, the best thing to do is the reversing cars just to stop, just let them pass and continue. Particularly if it's only one car. If it's a really busy road and there's like 20 cars coming, you might just have to just go very, very slowly and carefully. But if it's just one car, one or two cars, it's only going to take a couple of seconds just to remove that concern for them and just stop, let them go past, and then continue once they've gone past. So we'll swap over though. Now, yeah, so because it's only yesterday, and also yesterday, a lot of stuff was getting a lot better. It was, so like your sort of mirrors and your signalling, and mainly as well the sort of pedal control of controlling your pedals and changing the gears, the stopping at the junctions and checking was getting much better. I'm just wondering to start with, because the stuff I think, like I say, to mainly work on at the moment is this little thing of slowing from slightly higher speeds and getting used to kind of using the brake more before you go for the clutch. But to start, before it goes to slightly high speed roads, I was thinking of just going around here or something just to warm up a little bit.
Yep.
And I'm just wondering, because it's only yesterday and I thought, like say, roads like this that you're doing quite well on, these lower speed ones, I'm just wondering how much help do you think you want from me? I don't know whether you feel like if I stay a bit quiet like I was doing last time and just stepping up, I can see there's something you're missing.
Yeah, if you could just give me directions on where we're going and where we're turning.
Yeah.
And what I'll do is I'll say out loud what I'm going to do, what I'm thinking of doing.
Yeah.
And you stop me and tell me what else need to do, if I just don't do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, of course, bear in mind you did say that you'll do that last time.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
And it didn't really happen, but that's fine. You don't, like say, try to talk out loud if it helps. I'm not going to sort of force you to do it, because it depends on what works for your brain, because it could all be happening in your head. If it's happening in your head, you're talking yourself through it in your head, that's fine, as long as it works. But like I said, I'd be very much sort of happy if you wanted to talk out loud. It's perfectly fine and a good idea. It's even something you can do on your test as well.
Yeah.
That some people do, and it's even something that they actually make them do when they do like police driving.
Okay.
If you've heard of stuff like commentary driving, where they kind of, the idea is to try and encourage someone to focus and concentrate. Police drivers kind of, when they do the training, they're kind of really sort of trained and taught to talk out loud, to focus, to concentrate, because of the high speed stuff they're involved in, the high risk stuff, to do it as safely as possible. Yeah, so any questions before we move on? So we'll start up when you're ready. Now just before we move, I don't know if I've got the rear wire up on the front one's obviously just started. So you get gently up on that switch. That's it. That should now be on like a slow setting.
The front one's already on, right?
Yeah, it looked like it wiped a second ago, didn't it? So it looks like they're an auto. Also, you look at the stall. It's slightly up. It's not level, sort of like this one. It's slightly up. So the front's an auto. So we'll pull away when it's safe to. I'll stop with this car. So who has priority here?
They do.
Yeah.
I'm going to their lane.
Just gives you something to think about straight away. Just you moved off. Because here essentially you have to assess of where the next space is. I don't really know where the next one is. I don't know how far it is after this car. If you're not sure, it's probably best just to hold back like this. So one was a bit further away, but just don't know where the next space is. Oh, there's 2 cars, which is a little bit distance away. I'd like you to turn left just before the silver vehicle. Remember, it's the road with the lines on, the ones without lines, which are right, just garages and that sort of thing in this area.
So I'm seeing on the left, not using clutch, just
Gear be best now. Yeah, it's quite a tight turn.
across.
So you're down this side, and to assess if it's safe to go round. Brought you back up, but didn't want to come back up, so you're trying to actually stop
Yeah.
If you're trying to move, you might do that with the clutch. Good thing is you quickly realise, I think you jumped up and looked almost before I was even saying it, so you realise what you needed to do. And I would like you to take the next road on the left, please. going to try something at the moment, because at the moment, where do we need to be positioned? Yeah, and I steered you because we were staying out there. You weren't steering back over to this side. So we go into gear 1, and we'll pop the handbrake on. I'd probably, because the angle's a bit tight, because our position was a bit wrong on the approach. When I'm not in position, we will still have to turn right. If you just do a full lock to the right while you're stationary, we'll break the rules a bit. Because otherwise it's going to be impossible to turn because of the angle we've got ourselves into. Of course, it has to go very, very slowly, but it should still be manageable, I reckon, to do a right turn. As long as you've got that full lock on, you go very slowly. So look to pull out and turn right when it's safe. Do some really tight clutch control. Good, well spotted. Keep the clutch down there because you're only just stop you just here. And I'd like to then find a safe place to pull up on the left. You feel the curb? Oh, that's it. Yeah, as soon as you start feeling it, then just steering out so that you're not sort of staying sort of next to it. And of course, with more and more practice, you keep getting used to where it is. So a lot there, though, when you stops here, or when you're looking to pull up, it's good that you seem to have a good sort of think about what you were doing. It's nice you didn't straight away just go and try and stop kind of immediately. And you might notice where you had a good checking mirrors, didn't you? Sort of had good awareness what's around you, seems to be scanning ahead, thinking, right, where am I going to stop here? You didn't just straight away go, right, just stop. And then kind of ended up maybe blocking the driveway or whatever could happen if you sort of just rush to a decision. Yeah, I think that's in general what's nice at the moment. Yeah, and just getting, like I say, yesterday was good as well. It's just giving yourself more time to think about what to do and to plan things was nice. I just wanted to just think about that right turn a moment ago because we was just trying to draw it. So it was kind of like this, and when we were sort of coming up to it, when we went around these parked vehicles, whereabouts should we then, can you move this car to whereabouts we should be positioning for turning right? Yeah.
But I think because of the cars here, that made me want to go a bit more into the other side.
Yeah, so it made it a bit sort of, yeah, a bit tighter and that sort of thing. And
because where this car was parked, there wasn't that much room on this side.
Yeah.
To the actual.
Yeah, it's much tighter, wasn't it? I don't know how much you recall of it. It's a bit like this. Did you sort of see there would be room to go there?
Yeah.
It would just be tight.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like, if it was like that, bit of a different story. But there was room. It's just very tight.
Yeah.
Because if there is room, then we're staying out here, which is why I steered you. What's the problem with we're stopping like that?
On the vehicles that turning right, I'm blocking them.
Yeah. Can you understand why I steered you there? To try and get us a bit more back to kind of this side, just so we weren't in the way of an oncoming vehicle cane. Again, it wouldn't be a problem if they're up there, but here. So, what do you think we need to do then? If it's very tight, what do you think we need to do differently? You seem to understand in theory that you need to position it, but how are you going to make sure that happens? What do you need to do differently so you can control the car better?
Once I've gotten out of here, slow my speed and go clutch fully down early,
Yeah.
so I'm prepared. And all I need to think about is just getting my vehicle in the correct position.
Yeah.
Have my foot covering brakes, so I'm ready to stop as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of it's there. Definitely, I think agree with going clutch down sort of a bit earlier here rather than waiting to there, because otherwise then you've got to, like you can see, you've almost got to try and do your pedals and your steering. There's too much of the process. I would even probably go well, an approach here. Be braking on an approach like I think you were, but then even then, once you've then got below 10, even going clutch down and almost stopping sort of here. Why do you think that would be?
So that it's easier for me to get around these vehicles.
Yep.
And
because when we're going around these, we were sort of like aiming like here.
yeah.
That's because we need to sort our feet out of it, because it's very tight to have more control of the steering. If that car wasn't there, again, it wouldn't be too much of an issue because it wouldn't be as tight. But with that car there, having to, yeah, approach here, if you're a bit faster, use your brakes to slow initially. When you get below 10, go clutch, almost stop, keep using the brakes to almost stop, and then just slowly driving it through using the clutch control. So you've got more control. And when it's very tight as well like this, the best thing to do is to look at the look towards the parked vehicle that you're going to be steering towards. So basically here you're going to be steering towards the yellow one, aren't you? Or go to after the yellow one. So you then look towards your mirror, not in the glass, just look at the tip of the mirror and towards that side of the car, so then you can see once you've started to pass the yellow car. If you're not looking, it's hard to judge, because here you have to be really precise with your judgment. There's no margin for error, you've got to perfectly time when to steer. So, because it's very tight, yeah, you can look towards that side. When you see the front's just starting to pass the park vehicle, you know you can start steering in, to keep away from this one and steer in after that one, and the same here. If you're kind of almost stopped, your clutch is down, you're braking, you're almost stopped at this point, you can then check this left side to see when the front of our car is just starting and it's just past the front of the parked vehicle, and that means that's the earliest point you can start steering in.
Right, okay, makes sense.
So it gives you, then you can get to, then you've got to be so precise with that timing of steering. If you leave it a little bit late, you'll probably find you won't have room. Yeah, so I think, should we go and have another go at doing that junction there? I'll give you help with it though when we do it, just make sure you know what we mean. So the front wiper's not to be kicked into life, so you have to do like you do on the computers, or you could do that, or if you go down on it, because if you're doing that, it puts them on fast. If you just go up one now, yeah, because basically it's an auto at the moment, but the sensor won't always start automatic straight away. So I'd suggest, rather than going up, because going up on it just puts them on fast, the best thing for you to do, if you try this with me, if you just go down on the stall, turn them off, and then press it up to turn them on. It's a bit like you always do with computers, sometimes you have to turn them off, then turn it back on again to get it to kick into life. So that's the best time to do the auto sensing wipes, so they don't start wiping straight away, just turn it off and turn it back on again.
Yeah, makes sense.
So, and when we move off here, just you know, we're going to be taking essentially the next road on the right, not counting that because that's just garages, just where the house is with 3 levels on it.
Yeah.
So we look to move off when it's safe to. Similar here, just keeping the car kind of, I suppose it won't be straight because it's got a slight bend through, but keeping the road following this lane until you get to your point of turns, just following the road, doing this with it, before you get to your point of turn, and then steering in. So you're not drifting across the sort of the middle of the road at all, you're staying on your side, which in that case is following the bend slightly, before you then keeping it just before you turn. car's gone, it's going to sort of, so that's, can't re-practice that bit. But it's still got the cars near the end. So at the end of the road, we're going to turn right. So we do that bit. Now here, this is going to be too much space for that other car still there, of course, at the moment. So this bit you can just start steering out sort of nowish, couldn't you? It's a bit easier without the car there. And you can see it's quite tight here, so we now gently brake and go clutch fully down and almost stop. And ease off the brake and into gear 1. And then do gas and biting points, gently rock it, edge it forward. So that's it, you can look this side here now. So about now you can steer in, clutch down a bit because it's very tight. That's it, and then steer back that way to get the car straight, and then straighten up the wheel, and then come into a gentle stop. So, any questions about that?
No.
How you deal with that with the parked vehicles? So we'll look to pull out and turn right when it's safe. I think the indicator's turned itself off, isn't it? Just because all the steering there, sometimes it'll turn itself off. Now the car's just going to beep you in a moment. So what you need to try and do is just fully release the hammer. Can you do it just while you're moving? Can you just push the button and go down on it? That's it. It's just didn't quite fully release the handbrake. So that's how you deal with that if that happens. So at the end of the road, I would like you to turn right. Find a safe place to pull up on the left. Is anyone following? I'll check that. We'll do a signal here. Even though it sort of changes now, well, they don't turn now. Why do you think I would have done a signal there? I was considering that. Yeah, then it's not changing it when they're turned in. Because if we're parking here, that's going to affect them, isn't it? Because if they think we're carrying on ahead, what might the oncoming vehicle try and do?
Carry on.
Well, they won't probably carry on because whose priority is it?
Oh,
yeah.
Slow down and stop.
Yeah, and then when you park up, they'll be like, oh, okay, I didn't need to stop then. They're just basically stop unnecessarily and get a bit confused, thinking, oh, why didn't you tell me you were stopping and parking? If I knew you were parking, I could have just kept coming through and wouldn't need to have pulled and tried to give way to you. So, yeah, it's a shame that first parked car wasn't there.
Yeah.
Because that would have been good to sort of practice the whole thing again. It's quite awkward with that parked vehicle, but that hopefully gives you the idea, though. It's just about, like I say, slowing, almost stopping, so you're just gently braking, clutch down just before it stops, then almost stopping, then checking to the side you're going to be steering to, so you can then judge just as you're passing the parked vehicle, steer now, so you can get a really precise judgment of when to steer when it gets really tight like that. So did you want to do that again or leave that for me? I don't know how you feel with that.
I think I'm going to do it again.
Yeah.
Try and do it myself this time.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a good idea. So, do I need to direct you where to go? Do you want me to direct you where to go? I don't know.
If you go directly, please.
Yeah, that's fine. So it's going to be taking essentially the next proper road on the right where the house with the 3 levels is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. It's the next right, just after the second black car. Epsom Road. It's decent. So the speed was really good. I think you realise yourself it's not quite tucked in as much as it was before, but it's acceptable. Yeah, because the speed was good, and your point of when you turned in was good, so you're steering a bit tighter. So we'll put that when you're ready. And at the end of the road, I'd like you to turn right. Find a safe place to pull up on the left. You're going to go for your favourite spot.
Yeah.
Nice mirror checking. Yeah, like I say, much better though. Yeah. So yeah, like I say, happy with that now. How to deal with that sort of situation if it gets really tight like that. And it's not just with junctions; it was just in general. Like you have a tight bit, like initially where the cars were parked and they were sort of staggered, weren't they? And they weren't parked in the best position. Same sort of thing. It doesn't have to be just when you come to a junction. It's really tight. Just slowing, almost stopping, going clutch down, checking to your side, then just so you can judge when to steer and just gently use the clutch control, just gently drive it through, and it gets really tight because of how much control you need.
Are you allowed to park that close to a junction? Where there's cars parked?
Probably not.
Yeah,
because what's the kind of because you can probably see the problem it causes, no doubt. What's the distance that kind of they should technically be passed? What did we say before?
10 meters.
Yeah, so that's probably kind of closer than 10 meters to me.
5, 6, 7.
Yeah, something like that. I'll say yeah. So I suppose it's a tricky thing though. If of course where some places you live, it's like where you live a bit. Sometimes it's just tricky because you kind of, if you've not, I suppose it's actually not too bad because most people have fairly good driveways.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just tricky. Sometimes people are almost forced into doing it because of just the area. There's not enough space to park, which is unfortunately a thing sometimes with some of these places. So it's not illegal though. So you wouldn't technically get sort of fines for anything like that unless it's actually marked by double yellow lines. It's just not advisable to because of the dangers it can cause and how it makes it more awkward at the junctions. So yeah, so I was thinking now of seeing if we can try basically roads where still in Furnace Green, but there'd be roads where we're slightly higher speeds to practice then slowing from slightly higher speeds. To get used to this thing of using a brake sort of more to start with, not going clutch too early, not trying to go change the gears too early.
That wouldn't work with it because you can't do change clutch to 1 if you're doing like 20.
Yeah, like you sort of found last time, because do you remember last time how it felt when you first tried to move the gear?
Yeah, it felt very stiff.
Yeah, because it just doesn't want to do it. Yeah, so that's something to get used to. Just get used to kind of at slightly high speed, just using the brake more. Before you start going clutch and before you start changing down the gear. And I think because of that, it's something to get used to, I'm going to give you guidance with it to start with, to guide you through it, to get used to kind of the timing of sort of things. So basically I'll let you know when to press the clutch down and when to change the gear. When we're on these sort of slightly high speed roads, because I think yeah, I've got a bit of a plan. So we move off when you're ready. left. Too much margin for error to do that course, but then like that you might just about be avoided. You know, you just about avoided it. And now we have those ones. Let's practice now building a bit of speed. It's got a nice bit of a wider, clearer road here. And then we're going to be taking the second road on the left side. So I'm going to guide you through. So we come off the gas a little bit. So this is the first one. The second one's on the bend. So don't signal just yet. Wait till you pass this first one. Signal now. A little bit more gas to get to it. It. And now ease off the gas, so he'll do the braking for you. Clutch down gear 1 now, you're also getting below 10, and then gas and biting point to drive it in. And then using the clutch control to control the speed. That's good. And now what to now just cover brake here. That's good because there's a mini roundabout here. We can't see to the right, we're going ahead, but we can't see to the right, so cover brake. Is it safe? And back to the gas. So if something just appeared from the right there, what do we need to do?
Stop.
Yeah, we couldn't really see very well, could we? So that's why I was going to just cover brake, just so you're ready. That you need to worry about, because that there, it's not a roundabout. You don't need to be scanning down that road too much. Can you see the difference, Zain?
Yeah.
So it's like here, you don't need to be scanning down this road on the right too much, because you're on the main road. That's just a side road. You have priority, yeah. With the mini round, you have to give way to the right.
Oh, that makes sense.
So now what gear can we use? So. And then when we get to the T-junction at the moment, just to confirm, I'm going to guide you through it to let you know when to kind of use the pedals. Just use the timing of it. So at the end of the road, just keeping the gas for the moment, so it's quite a clear road. Keep the gas on. So at the end of the road, we're going to turn left. So you can do your mirrors and signal, keeping the gas on for the moment, and now gently braking. Brakes just on their own. A little bit more brake, and then clutch fully down now, and then into gear 1. So that sort of timing. Take some of that steering off because I was going to mount the curb here. Just steer that way a bit because that's it. Yeah, and then we're looks kind of like we're safe too. I'll actually pop the signal back on. Sorry, that cancelled off. Clutch down a bit. So that's going too strong on the clutch. So is it safe to go? You might have felt a little bit of a nip of the curve there, just as what I was talking about, where we just steered a bit too tightly because it's quite a sharp corner that, so you don't want to steer too much on the approach.
Yeah, that what happened there with the clutch. Basically, my foot was just about on it, and it slowly started to come off.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I was trying to like get my foot back on the clutch.
So if that happens, the best thing to do is just secure the car.
Yeah.
So let's keep going because it's a little bit slow going through this bit. So just if that happens, just go handbrake neutral, then you can come off the pedals.
Yeah.
It's like this little thing here, this traffic island thing. Just ease off the gas a little bit, but not any more than that. Just keep it at this speed, just to now gently accelerate, gently drive through it. So like this speed here is now good. Just try and keep the speed, keep the gas now steady to keep it at a steady speed. we're scanning that way, and it looks like a stop for them, so gently brake. That's it, into gear 1. Then we'll probe that handbrake on, so it's a bit of a slope. And then we'll get feet ready, and we'll look to move, so they give way to us. You're mainly looking that way, it's clear that way. On the red bit, go on the red bit. Now see, if we go round the red bit, they're going to get confused, and then we're coming down here. Because if you avoid the red bit, they think you're going straight, Zane. Okay, so you just go over the red bit to show you're turning right. So the red bit's part of the road. Did you see as well how they gave way to you?
Yeah.
Because it'll probably feel quite unnatural at first, but it's just getting used to understand the rules of roundabouts. It's different to the rules of T-junctions. So I'm going to guide you through this as well. So you're a bit of a bend and a hazard here. You just gently brake, but keep the clutch up, just brake on its own. That's it. You won't need the clutch at this sort of speed. And you should be okay in gear 2, because this speed should be manageable. And it'll just about cope in gear 2 at this speed, because it's just on the borderline of gear 2 speed. So, wherever you needed to go slower than that, then you would have to go clutch down and change down to gear 1. But this speed it just about copes in gear 2. Like to take the next road on the left. So like here, I'll guide you through this. So this speed, it's just using a little bit of brake on its own. So a little bit. Now go clutch down and into gear 1 at this sort of speed. And then do your gas and biting point to drive it into the turn. Particularly important because it's downhill, not to go clutch too early. So it's coming through into you, we do a little bit more brake, and then clutch about now, and then now into gear 1. And if we just come to a gentle stop just next to this sort of grey, sort of black car, just go a little bit more forwards, just so we're sort of just side by side to them, and then come to a stop here. Because I thought we'd come down here to practice turning around. Now it's a little bit more parked cars than it normally is, because normally there's not parked vehicles here. But it's still good practice to practice turning the car around. So do you have any thoughts how you could turn around? Imagine you came down here and you didn't realise it's a dead end.
I think if I drive down that way and stop just in front of that red car,
yeah,
and then turn steering this way and come up here, that'll give enough room.
And so when you go forward, you're going to go forward in a straight line or steer that way a bit?
Steer that way a bit.
And when you say go in front, are you going to stop with your bumper kind of in front of the curb, or?
No. Like,
okay, so you're giving room for you to.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna. So it's gonna be about a meter's length from my bonnet to that car's.
Yeah.
And so that when I do steer around, I don't hit that car or the silver car. And
Yeah.
I have enough space. So if I even just stop like here,
so
it should give me enough.
I think it sounds like you've got a plan. Like, so I'll step in if it looks like there's something that's not quite working. Yeah. So let's go for that when you're ready. The only thing I'll say here, actually, I'd go clutch down here, because keep the clutch down and just ease off the gas.
Yeah, it's the slope, so use the brake.
That's it, yeah. So I'd apply the foot brake now. So the foot brake applied, because the idea is you put the handbrake back on. What you normally do, you apply the foot brake before you release the handbrake, because if you just release the handbrake and the foot brake's not applied, the car can just start rolling fast.
Right.
So you have the foot brake applied initially, so it doesn't suddenly roll when you take the handbrake off.
Right.
So if you now release, is your foot brake applied?
Yeah.
So if you now release the handbrake, then when you want to move, just keep the clutch down, and just then it's more controlled. So then I'll start steering in now. So a little bit more brake to slow it. Steering a bit more. Steering a bit more, should be more room. That's it. That's it. Just edging us, rolling forward. So probably just roll into it. So keep rolling forward so you can start. That's it. Yeah, so this is what you're thinking, something like this. And I'll stop here for a moment. Is this what you're thinking of coming over like this?
Yeah.
So this is why I got your steer button. We see you've still got this distance from the silver one. So this is why I need to steer a bit more, because if you hadn't steered more, we would have been further away from them. So what's our plan from here then?
So from now, reverse.
Well, it won't be reverse yet, because we're going to go back where we came from, Zain.
No, actually,
I think you said it earlier, you need to go forwards and,
yeah, forward a bit. Yeah.
and not forwards in a straight line. Turn, yeah.
This way.
Not that way. Because you're going to get stuck then next to this red car. So what you do, you go forwards and steer full lock to the right.
Right.
So you just, when it's safe to, just check it's safe. Just steer full lock right. That's it, all the way. That's it, like this. And then basically we just continue to go forwards very slowly to getting sort of fairly close to this black car. So you might use clutch control now because it's run. I think is it running out of roll? It's still just about rolling, isn't it? So we go forward to touch more. So you've still got a little bit of room to go. So a little bit more. You've got about a metre or so. And then stop about there. So you use the maximum room because there's not much space on this area. Use as much room as you can. Then we now go into reverse gear. And then when we reverse in a moment, what do you think we need to do with our steering?
Full lock.
Yeah, that's it. So, and what do you think we need to be checking for before you reverse?
The vehicles behind us starting when your vehicle's coming down.
Good. Anything else? That's a good one. So the vehicles could start, the vehicles could come down the road.
Pedestrians?
Yeah, particularly.
Yeah.
Because you've got this path here, haven't you?
Yeah.
And there's even, can you see, you probably don't see in your mirrors, people look in your blind spot.
Yeah.
So there's a break in the path there.
Yeah.
And you probably can't see this dog walker in your mirrors, but you might see them even look over your shoulder.
Yeah, I can see them over my shoulder. I can't see them.
Yeah, so if they start to come through that break in the curve, what do you think you're going to need to do?
Stop.
Yeah. So does it look safe? Are they staying there?
I don't think
Clutch up a little bit. Clutch up a little bit. Just going to touch brake for you. If you put the handbrake on here, just touch the brakes. It's starting to roll forward, so you didn't quite have the clutch at the correct point. So now have your foot towards the gas now. It's in reverse gear. So stop, go clutch down from Zain. What were you unsure about?
I don't know, because I just stopped again. I was like, why is it in this game?
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That's okay. So yes, have your foot on the gas a little bit. You want to trust your feet because if you get the biting point correctly, the car will go where you want it to go. So you don't need to be overly concerned with this car. Because if you get your feet correct, you'll be fine. And I'm here to help as well, of course. So your feet are good. So hands on the handbrake. Just recheck and see if it's safe. And then handbrake off. That's it. Just clutch down the touch because it's starting to speed up now, isn't it? And you just have to now judge when to stop. What do you think? Yeah. So is your clutch fully down? And that's probably why it's struggling.
Yeah.
So before you move, I would go over instantly because I think you're about to do
Yeah,
it.
it's good handbrake.
Yeah, why is it needed? It's quite crucial here.
Because of the salute.
Yeah. And what do you need to do to make sure that it goes forwards and doesn't roll?
Get the biting point.
Yeah. Because that's what just had a little mistake with that black car. Though you had it for a moment, the biting point, then you lost it, and that's why you were about to go for the brake, and I just beat you to it and just touched the brake so we didn't roll forwards too far towards the back car. But if you get that biting point, you can be confident that it's not going to roll, so you don't need to be sort of nervously having your foot over the brake. If you get your biting point correct, you can confidently have your foot on the gas and that sort of thing. So look to move forwards when you're ready. So clutch a little higher. That's how it should feel like that, so you just feel it slightly pulling. That's it. Because you don't want it too low and then it starts to roll. You want it just a slight pull. If it's a flat bit of road, you might not need that much pull. But if it's a hill, you really want to feel a little bit of a pull. So I just like sometimes throw that sort of stuff in just to get you to practice turning around and controlling the car, because that was intentional to go down the dirt end. I'll be using off gas here, if something comes around the corner. Cool, good, because what would you need to do if something came around the corner there? Yeah, they can appear quite quickly as you can't see. Like you to turn right, please. Think about the car door then. That's better. One more. Because before you pull out, any questions there? Because you weren't steering in enough. We were still in the middle of the road.
Yeah, which just didn't. I was. It wasn't that I was planning turning right or facing that way. I was gonna.
Yeah.
Rely on my wheels, but I don't know why I just did.
Didn't turn in enough.
Yeah.
Because you need to remember, you need to give room for a car to come in. So look to pull out and turn right when it's safe to. Yeah, better right there. Did your foot sort of move around to the pedal again? We should maybe go and give that right turn just another quick go to practice that positioning, getting that positioning correct after you've gone past parked vehicles. So I'd like you to take the next road on the right. Distance from the parked vehicles, and then at the end of the road I would like you to turn right. Keep that one straight. Stopping here still, stopping here still. Close. You just about saved it. Partly though because you didn't look like you were wanting to stop.
Yeah.
No, that was correct. Although it's like we had before, even though it's not got lines, there's houses in front of us, isn't there?
Yeah.
So this is a T-junction. So we look to pull out and turn right when it's safe to. This is a T-junction. Yeah, that's it. So at the end of the road, I'd like you to turn right. So I'll give you a bit of help here. So first, this is good for your steering, so you're going to give a car door length from the parked vehicles. And because there's part of it's near the junction, so you slow a bit now, do a little bit of brake and go clutch down now. So you can then check this side, then when to steer in now. Steer a bit tighter, so you can, that's it. And then straighten up the wheel, and then come into a gentle stop. And then, yep, signal back on, and we'll pull out when it's safe. This is much better positioning here. So it's just needing to identify that there's a junction, and then the parked vehicles near the junction mean it's going to be tighter. You have to go slower, and then be more aware. They've got the oncoming ones to cover brake, so we're going to have to pull in here, aren't we, possibly? So a little bit of brake. Where are they going? Oh no, they're going there, but we didn't know that at first. We have to assume they're coming towards us unless we see a signal. So just continue to follow the road ahead. Junctions we have coming up. The road signs.
T-junction.
Not a T-junction. We keep the gas going. It's a roundabout. It's a sign to us it's a roundabout. So remember the rules are different here. So it's giving way to the right. The traffic on your left will give way to you. We're going to turn right at the roundabout. So I'll give you a bit of help here. To use your brakes to slow, just brake on its own initially. So a little bit more brake, then clutch down into gear 1 because it's hard to see to the right here. And then gas and biting point to slowly drive it forwards because it's a bit of a hill. So you're scanning that way. Is it clear to the right? Yeah. Then go on the red bit. That's it. Cool. So if anything came from the left, they should then give way to you. Where if it's a T-junction, a bit different. You have to identify the difference between a T-junction and a roundabout. To turn left to the first exit. So keeping the speed for the moment. Look how good your view is. Keep the gas on. Look how good your view is, Zain. Is there anyone anywhere near the roundabout? So can we just keep it going at this speed? So you can make one early decision there because of how easily you can see. If you can't see, then what do you think you'll do differently?
Slow down.
Yeah, that's it.
Wait to stop.
So I'd like to find a safe place to pull up on the left, please. Somewhere along here. So clutch gently up. So if there is a signal first, brake first, remember Zain, gently brake. Then clutch down. Then into gear 1. That's it. The signals, that was it. So yeah, I just stepped in there because as soon as I just pull over, do you notice what your first response was when you were trying to slow? Yeah. Which again is okay if you're at very low speed, but not when you're kind of at these speeds. Don't think we need to go through why, because I think we've gone through it enough of just building habit of, I think a lot of times it's almost like a safety blanket people have. Often the safety blanket of going for the clutch, which is okay at low, very low speed, but not when you're sort of above 10 at slightly higher speeds. So yeah, that's why I just jumped and just said ease off the clutch until you can get the habit of using the brakes to slow, and then go for clutch just before you stop. So yeah, because what I was thinking, to practice a bit more of this thing of slowing from high speed to get you used to kind of trusting the brakes more and using the clutch kind of later, I was thinking of going onto Hall Avenue, which is like that road just there, where the last roundabout, if we would have gone ahead, is the road kind of further up there. So it is slightly more of a sort of main road, but it's not megally busy. The reason I thought it would be a good one to do is because it's a nice long straight road. And should be all clear. It's very unlikely to be a parked vehicle on the road. It should be a nice clear empty road to basically practice driving at a slightly higher speed. and then slowing, because I'm going to be turning then back into this road. So then you have to slow from higher speed and practicing trusting the brake, using the brake more on its own without the clutch. And then you getting used to when to press the clutch and when to change the gears.
Yes,
and I was thinking of doing like a loop, like around here, going back down here, doing this. It's then got some quite big long roads to practice being at slightly higher speed and slowing from slightly higher speed. I'm going to guide you through it though, with the kind of particularly focusing on the kind of timing of when to use the pedals, particularly on that one, because what you can be really careful there, Zane, that's downhill. So if you're going clutch too early, yeah, it's going to be really hard to control the car, which is why it's quite a good one to practice, to get you really used to how you've got to control the pedals. So that's all. Really change the battery. So yeah, to get there, because you want to basically really, it's going to do like a loop going around to the left, because that's a bit easier to sort of do that to start with. So what we'll probably do is we can go down this basically road on the right here, because it sort of cuts through. So I might just set my jacket quickly actually to feel a little stuffy. So if you start the engine up, you're ready. And like, so we're going to be taking this next road on the right, just here, the glade. So we'll move away when it's safe to. Start signal right. So it's safe to go, but just tell them we're moving away. This car behind. Now signal right, so we're turning here, check. Oh, that's fine, carry on, because you missed a turn. We were going down the glade thing, like we said. So, and I'll direct you, so just keep going. I think it's probably partly because of the pulling away the car behind. That threw you off. It's safe to go. I think that threw your brain off trying to pull away with a car behind you. So into gear 2. So next time I might suggest just waiting for that car, so your brain then doesn't have to get concerned about that car behind you after you've pulled away. Until you feel confident, just to pull away the car behind, not let it phase you, and then kind of do the turn, focus on the turn we're looking to do. Let's try gear 3 here. So I'm going to guide you through this next turn in a moment, to get used to when to use the pedals. So I'd like you to take the next road on the right, it's just on coming up on the bend here. So keep the gas going for the moment, because it's a bit uphill. And if you now just ease off the gas, he'll do the braking for you. Clutch down now it's going to go below 10 into gear 1. And then gas and biting point to drive it up to the junction, keeping the wheel straight on your side until it's safe to turn. So it's safe. Yep. Cool. Gear 2, so clutch down into gear 2 and easing the clutch back up. That's it. And then when we get to the end of the road, we're going to turn left. So if you do, just gently brake, gently brake, gently brake, gently brake. So then into gear 1. So I'll just see you there because we're starting to veer onto the curb. So we're going left at the end of the road. So just focus on the junction. we pull out? We're just going to see if we can pull up on the left where the lamppost is.
Okay.
So we'll pull out when it's safe to. So pulling in where the lamppost is. Pull in a bit more because we're quite far from the curb. So, and drive us forward, so not over the driveway. Straighten up. So that's fine there, now you're clear of the driveway. So yeah, I thought I'd just pause there because a little bit of a panicky moment there with that car coming. What was your thoughts of kind of what happened there with that car coming?
Just to stop, and I forgot about the steering.
Okay. What made you forget about the steering, do you think?
And the fact it was downhill as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what effect did that have? What do you mean?
I don't know, I just got nervous.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because you know what you have to do in those situations, so you have more control of the steering. It's kind of hinting at it, what I was saying. Just have to be quicker at going for the brake.
Right.
So as soon as they're coming, well, as soon as I saw them, it's a bit bad timing because as soon as they appeared, it was literally like a second after I gave you the instructions. When you start giving the instructions where to turn, they weren't there. But as soon as I finished my sentence, and just quite correctly, you were then starting to do your mirrors. Sod's law, they appeared at that exact moment that you were starting to check your mirrors. But it's then having to be quickly now to go for your brake, but braking still smoothly, not doing a sudden emergency stop because that'd be overkill. But you have to be able to quickly and calmly get to your brake and start braking. I suppose this is also, while working on this, it's also, I suppose that to me relates as well to the having a confidence to go for the brake and not kind of go for the clutch. So having that confidence to move your foot to the brake and trust the brake. So yeah, how are you feeling at the moment though? Because that's why I thought we'd just park up, because there's a little bit of a panicky moment, so we'd park up for a moment.
Fine.
Okay. So, because you did control the pedals, because I told you what to do, you controlled the pedals yourself, I just helped you with the steering, because it was a little bit late with the braking. So, I suppose this shows as well, doesn't it, the reasons why you shouldn't really park near a junction, because it does make it much more awkward to deal with situations.
I think there were cars in front as well that parked, which didn't help me.
Yeah, which I was meaning, yeah, because the cars parked near the junction made it a bit more awkward, because they... Yeah, I suppose as well, even thinking that car coming towards us, I suppose we talked about this as well from ourselves, if you're turning into a road like they were, if there's parked vehicles on down the corner, should we be just immediately steering around them, or should we...
first and checking if it's there?
Yeah, so that kind of shows why, because I don't reckon they probably did that. I think they probably just went straight round them, and then that's the problem it causes, and which is why I've been picking up on that, of making sure we tuck in, be ready to stop, then steer round. So we'll look to move off when you're ready. Turn left. Now notice the parked vehicle right near the junction. So think about this oncoming one. That's it. Clutch down about now. That's it. And then gently braking to come to a stop. That's it. I wouldn't signal just yet, steer around first. Then do a left signal. So you signal when you're stopped to look like you're parking. Safe to go. Yeah. And then so guard just stop for a moment because he's blocking your view. You might have to wait it out because you probably can't see. Can you see past him at all or not really?
No,
he's probably a bit blocked, isn't it? So just let him go first. So where do you think your gap might be?
Oh, this one here.
Yeah. If you're not sure, it's probably best to wait.
I think I could have made that, but...
Yeah, but you know what I mean though, because you weren't 100%, were you? So you've got to be sure. Well, but after this van...
Yeah.
There can't be any doubt in your head at all when you're making a decision to go. You've got to be 100% sure. So I'll give you lots of help here. So at the roundabout, we're going to be turning left, the first exit. So if you do your mirrors and signals normal for turning left, so you're going to be keeping the left-hand lane and keeping near the curb. Now vision to the right is not too good, but you're already at really decent speed because it does open up the vision. So if you just cover brake, keep following the curb, scan right. Is it safe?
Yeah.
Yes it is. We'll just keep going and turning left, first exit. So we've got a nice clear bit of road, so I'm going to build a bit of speed, a nice clear bit of road here. Ease the clutch up, don't press it back down. And that's partly a little bit panicked with the oncoming vehicle, but they give way to you, Zain. So yeah, that was okay. It's just a little bit of panic with the oncoming vehicle, but remember they give way to you. And they were slowing, so they were going to let you go. So now a little bit more gas, so you've got a clear bit of road here. Just being ready to look out for parked vehicles, because there normally can be parked vehicles around you, then ease off the gas when you see that to assess. Is it safe to go around? Have you checked your mirrors? Cool. You've got this one, so go near the centre line and stop near the centre line. That's it, and then gently come to a stop here. And what gear? That's it. Get your feet ready, so you're ready to go. There, give way to you, Zain, you've got priority. Yeah? The vehicles behind know you're giving way. Once you've given way, they know they just need to let you go. So you don't need to be overly concerned about the vehicles behind. Remember as well, I've also got a mirror here, so I know what they're doing. Gear 2. So you've got room here. Ease the clutch up because you're fine for room. That's it. Now a little bit more speed. And then give gear 3 a try. Guide you through this. So at the roundabout, we're going to be turning left. So we do mirrors, but don't signal. We exit the side road. Signal left now after you pass the side road. So you keep the clutch up and just use the brakes initially to slow. A little bit more brake. Keep near the left. A little bit more brake. A bit more brake. Clutch fully down. And into gear 1 I'd go for now. Ease off the brake and then just drive up to the roundabout. Scanning to the right. Is it safe? Yeah. So we can keep going and going left. First exit. So, then gear 2 now. So you get the gear done before. Oh, clutch now. Push it towards me, the gear stick. That's it. So you're trying to get the gear done before you steer around that bend. If you do it on the bend, it's difficult. So you do it on the straight bit of road. So we're going to build a bit of speed. That's it. And into gear 3 when you're ready. Cool. Are you still breathing?
Yeah.
Doing this kind of slightly more main road this loop to get used to dealing with traffic and controlling your pedals. So just keep remembering, I'll guide you through it all. You don't need to be overly worried. So at the roundabout, we're going to be turning left. So we do your mirrors and your signal. So this is nice, we're easing off gas. Now I'm going to do a little bit more brake. Now I'll maybe go clutch down gear 2 and then clutch gently up. So just stop. Okay, so gently brake. So into gear 1 now. to restart it. So you're going to do your gas and biting point, and then just handbrake off, and then edge us forward. Now scanning to the right. They're turning. So is it safe? Yes, it is. So we're going left, first exit. There's a little bit of mud with your pedals there. So gear 2, that's it. Just be careful not to go to neutral, because it's going to get stuck. I'll just go push it towards me and straight down. Into gear 3, that's it. Cool. We ease off the gas a bit here, because it's a 40-mile-an-hour limit. So keep looking ahead as well, don't look too long at the dials. So I'm going to guide you through this Zain, so I don't mention so you don't need to worry about it. You're going to be turning left. Keep your speed up, because it's too early to come off gas. Mirrors and signal. That's it. Then just brakes on their own to gently start braking. That's it. A little bit more brake. Then clutch fully down, gear 2. Ease off the brake and ease off the clutch. They give way to you. So ease off the clutch, look into your turn. They give way to you, Zain. Did they stop for you?
Yeah.
Why did they stop for you, do you think?
Because they have to go into my lane.
They do, so they give way to you. So gently on the gas, that's it. Got the man waiting, there might be a bus coming soon, but they give way to you here, don't they?
Yeah.
Because the parked vehicle's on their side. Checking this left mirror now, come to a stop.
I think I could do a bit more.
Yeah, is it safe to though? So how do you press the brake? Because you press the brake, what happens to the back of the car?
Brake lights.
Yeah, do you want them to show that car blind you're not going to move? So, now. So I thought we'd have a little catch your breath a bit. So, yeah. How did you find that though, of going around there, kind of on slightly more main road to practice kind of more open road?
A lot more confident, but I think I'll probably need, maybe a couple more times around that road with your help before I do it by myself.
Yeah.
And yeah, with the brake, a lot more comfortable with it now.
Yeah. Yeah, because it showed nicely here when you were stopping here. But yeah, you were using your brakes to slow, so if you're a little bit behind, just to make sure, like saying to you what pedal you're going to go for first. But you kind of completely got that and understood what I meant, and were confidently going for the brake initially. And then just as the car was about to stop, just as it started to struggle, then you went clutch down and changed your gear. Yeah, so definitely get much better with the confidence of using the brake. I'm trying to think what happened at the roundabout there with the feet. I think because it's quite hard to see your feet because your legs are quite the way it's some people are used to your feet, but your feet sometimes a little bit hard to see.
Yeah.
Because that sort of knee gets in the way of me seeing your right foot.
Yeah.
But I think it felt like, I don't know if your foot was on the, after I said to you, now do a little bit of brake to slow and then clutch down gear 2 and then ease up the clutch. I think at that point, your foot was still on the brake.
Yeah, I think that.
Which is why the car was struggling, because it wanted you to come off the brake and go, yeah, towards the gas. But that might be partly my fault as well. Maybe I should have got you to go into gear 1 for that roundabout to make it a little bit easier. Yeah, but like I said, that does happen. just keep remembering, when that happens, it's good that you're thinking you need to stop the car after the car kind of beat to you. Did you notice what your first reaction was to stop the car though when you felt it starting to roll?
Handbrake.
Yeah. So you just got to remember what should be the thing that stops the car.
Brake.
Yeah, the foot brake. Yeah. So let's go for the foot brake and then put the handbrake on. You don't want to try and stop with the foot handbrake. Do you remember why we said you don't want to do that, kind of from last time?
Because the handbrake just locks the back wheels and the foot brake stops all four.
It does. That's quite correct. It's partly the reason you do it. Because the handbrake only locks the back wheels, it wouldn't happen too much at that speed, but at a higher speed, any ideas what would happen if you just lock the rear wheels up, the front wheels were still turning, i.e. when you put the handbrake on?
It was still? Not sure.
It's skid.
Oh.
Have you seen on films of handbrake turns? You heard of that phrase?
Yeah.
So that's what they mean by because when you put the handbrake on, it locks up the rear wheels. They stop, the front wheels are turning, the car's not balanced and in control, and then it can skid. It's not going to happen, like I said, very low speed. It's not really going to skid. But it's more so, remember, when you apply the handbrake, what doesn't happen at the back of the car? Yeah. So there's a car behind you, they don't know that you've stopped. So there's more chance of them potentially hitting you because they just don't know that you've stopped. So that's why you've got to try and get a habit of just, if it is starting to roll, just go for the foot brake rather than trying to go for the handbrake. Foot brake first, then handbrake.
Yeah.
So, yeah. If we did that again, would you still kind of be alive, or were you gonna?
No, I'll be fine.
You're not gonna kind of pass out on me, because
No.
I think you're quite right. Just obviously, I keep giving you lots of guidance, but it's just to get a bit of exposure of that sort of stuff. But as long as you're not going to die on me and kind of faint or anything like that,
No, I'll be fine.
yeah, happy to sort of go around. But I thought I'd have a little break for a moment, because I can see you're getting a little bit kind of hot under the collar, or whatever the phrase is.
Yeah.
So we'll move off when you're ready. Let's pop the right signal on, because it's oncoming vehicle. And cancel it, and all the way. So at the roundabout, we're going to turn left to the first exit. So keep the gas on for the moment, because you're in gear 1, it's going to slow very rapidly, so you won't just come off gas too early. So we now ease off gas now a little bit. So to give time for these vehicles to pass, and looking to follow the curb. So following the curb, and then got this car, so we're going to gently come to a stop for them, clutch down, and then gently coming to a stop. So you're going to get, I'd start to get my feet ready to your gas and biting point. So you're ready to go, so gas first, you're fine. And gently find the bite, and then it's safe to go. So first exit. And then trying to get gear 2 down here. That's it. So you get it done before you go around this tighter bit in this corner. You don't ideally want to be sending gear 1 all the way around this corner. Just try and sort of relax a little bit more with the gear. You just seem to be sort of going back to rushing it a bit. Just try and relax a bit. Just ease off the gas a little bit. If you rush, that gear is likely, chances are you'll get the wrong gear. So just continue going to ease the clutch up. Just continue going. So at the roundabout, we're going to be turning left. So if you do your mirrors and signal, that's it. And just gently start to brake. That's it. Go clutch down. A little bit more, but go gear 1 this time, and then ease off the brake and do gas and biting point. That's it. Clutch to that. So that's good clutch control. You can have time to scan. Is it safe? Yes. So we're going left first exit. Gear 2, so clutch down, and then it's down to gear 2, okay? So relax. And when you're ready, gently into gear 3, so ease off the gas, clutch down, gently into gear 3. braking about now. So a little bit more brake. That's good. Ease off the brake a little bit. Clutch down. Gear 2. Ease up the clutch. And looking into your turn. And then start to gently turn in. Remember, if anyone's coming towards you, you have priority. So you don't need to be overly focused on the oncoming traffic there. Your main focus needs to be looking where you're going. That's it. Nice to touch more brake. Actually, the camera quite slowly, didn't they? Because of the big potholes. Much better position than the way you were near the centre line when you were giving way. Signal. So I want to just come to a stop for a moment because there seems to be a bit of sort of confusion with changing to gear 2 at the moment. You were normally fine with it, and now it seems to have sort of regressed a bit with changing to gear 2. It seems to be like when we're saying about like you're thinking about gear 2 and saying what gear can we use now, you're sort of looking down at it and a bit of kind of almost like a bit of confusion. Can you tell me more about that, if you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it wasn't happening before.
It's probably, I don't know, I'm using the brake this time more, higher speeds as well.
Okay. If we're going to gear 2 though, we're changing up to gear 2 we're talking about. Is that involving the brake at that point?
No.
And also changing up to gear 2, is that going faster at that point? Because you're still going to gear 2 at the same speed as normal. I'd understand if you said going to gear 3 is going at higher speed, because it is. But going to gear 2, it's still the same speed as we're going around here initially. The only difference is after you change to gear 2, we're then building more speed.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But it's still changing to gear 2 at the same speed and same process. It doesn't change just because we're going to be building more speed after we've changed to gear 2. So yeah, maybe it's like, say, it sounds like then a little bit then you're trying to sort of rush it because you know you're trying to build speed after, you're trying to rush to change to gear 2 because you know you're trying to build speed after, but it still needs to be the same process to change to gear 2. Once you've done the change to gear 2, then build speed. Don't build more speed before you go to gear 2 or anything like that. Let's just have a few goes at just doing a dry run of moving the gear stick because we're like so we get a little bit muddled with sort of changing to gear 2. So what I'd like to do for me, if you go clutch fully down for me and move it into gear 1, and then while looking ahead, see if you can now go to gear 2. That's it, and then back to gear 1. That's it, and into gear 2. Yeah, can you do it even a little bit slower than that? Just nice and gently. That's it, and into gear 2. Cool, into gear 1. Let's just keep your hand there. And into gear 2. Cool, and then what about gear 3? That's it, what about gear 3 to gear 2? That's it, can you do it a little bit slow? You almost got stuck there, didn't it? So let's do 2 to 3. That was better. And 3 to 2. That was better. Notice that time it didn't almost get stuck. If you know what I meant, the first time it almost got stuck.
Yeah.
So it needs time for the gear stick to move. It needs to be done in stages, not in one quick movement. So if we now go back into neutral, and how could you check? That's it. Cool. Yeah. But yeah, let's see if that's helped though. Doing a bit of a dry run of that, sort of the gear changes there. But just also remembering, like I say, just because we're going to be building speeds after doesn't mean you have to then rush the change into gear 2 bit. That bit's still the same. So we'll look to move off when you're ready. I'll probably wait for them, just because what happened earlier, Zain, when, I know it would be safe to go there, but earlier we got a bit panicked when you pulled away when there was a car coming behind you, and then you sort of missed the turn here, if you remember. So maybe just wait so you then don't have any pressure of anyone behind you. So is it safe to go now? Another one's turned up, haven't they? So, have a blind spot as well. That's it. So take your time here. So now into gear 2. That was much better. And then the roundabout, we're going to be turning left to the first exit. So I'll give you lots of help. This is nice way eating off gas here. So this is now a good speed here. So we're now going to just scan the roundabout, looking to follow the curve. Is it safe?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to keep going and go left down here. Point to drive it up to the line. Is it safe? Yes. That's safe. That's safe. We're going left. That's safe, Zain, because we were basically about to enter it, and also they were turning left. So thanks for trusting me there. Just trust me, just to keep going. So I didn't say stop, so that means we don't need to stop. It's safe to go. So take your time. That's better, because you took your time to think about what you need to do. Now you can build your same gear. Now you build a bit of speed. That's it. Now into gear 3, taking the time with it. That's it. So it's just not letting the kind of traffic rush you, and just still focusing on what you need to do, not being affected by the other traffic. So keep the speed for the moment. I'll guide you through it, remember. So keep the speed. So we're going to do on the left, so we're going to do our mirrors and signal. So I'll guide you through it. So gently start braking now. A little bit more brake. A little bit more. And clutch down. Into gear 2. Ease off the brake. That's it. Ease the clutch up. Looking into the turn, because the other traffic gives way to you, remember. So you don't need to be overly focused about them. Just remembering as well that I'm also aware of them, Zain. So if they did something, I'm not just going to sit here and do nothing. I'll let you know if you need to do something. And I've said that a million times, but just keep trying to reassure your brain of how it works.
You guys just trust in traffic before.
Yeah, that's why I'm here, isn't it? So you're not on your own. Doesn't know what you mean, but that's what I keep saying. I'll help you, won't I? more brake and following the curve, ease off the brake, gas and biting point. Is it safe? Yep, so we're going to do left first exit. And once you've straightened, take your time with it and into gear 2. That was much better. Good. Cool, I like that though. The way you sort of settled your steering, made sure that the car's straight before you try to change to gear 3. So at the roundabout, we're going to be turning backwards. So good. And then gently braking. Just gently brakes on their own, a little bit more. Then clutch down into gear 1. Then gas and biting point to slowly drive it up to the line. Clutch down a bit to slow it because there's traffic coming. We're going to gently brake to come to a stop. Handbrake on, so it's a bit of a slope. Getting your feet ready, so your gas and biting point. Hands on the handbrake, and then it's safe after the white one. That's good. But this would be good for us to watch back. Lots of kind of something has to get used to, being able to sort of calmly sort of guide someone through how to do things. So remember, I'll guide you through this. So just keep the speed steady for the moment. Look ahead as well, don't look at the dial for too long. So we're going to be taking the next left. So with mirrors and signal. That's good, focus on what we're doing. So using your brakes to gently slow. That's it. Then clutch down into gear 2. Ease off the brake, ease up on the clutch, trust them, trust me, and looking into your turn. And that's it. That's it. Yeah. And the white vehicle to take your way to you? Yeah. Nice mirror checks. And I'd like you to find a safe place to pull up on the left. So don't signal just yet, cancel it. Now signal now you pass the side road. That's a nice position, isn't it? So, and then the signal. That's it. Go. So, yeah. So should we swap over though, and we have a little sort of bit of recap on the way back. Got windy. How fast is your heart going?
Quite fast.
Quite fast?
Yeah.
Just make sure that's... Because what you said is it sort of, you said about having this, that, so I suppose that appropriate level of sort of trust in the other road,
Yeah.
other road users.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
And I guess
Yeah.
Well, apart from when I've done go-karting, but
Yeah.
even now I was getting pulled over every 10 minutes.
You're getting pulled over, were you?
Yeah, because they have this track, and when you like don't stop or you keep hitting into the tyres and stuff, they pull you over quite a lot if you're skidding. I think I've done quite good because I did win, but there was like you being too like aggressive.
I don't know if you want to tell me that. Tell me that.
Oh, well, at least you're not my the test guy. So, and I've watched this guy on TikTok, and he does driving tests. And one of his students, they got failed because when they were driving, they had obviously both hands on the steering, and then someone gave them way, and they lifted one whole hand up, and then they failed them on it, even though they had the car and stuff under control. Whatever.
So they have one hand on the wheel then?
Yeah, they had their left hand on the wheel, and their right hand fully went off it.
I would
do the full thing way.
When they sort of gave them the thank you, did they lose and control the steering? Did the car wobble or anything?
I'm not sure, but he did say that that was one of the things that they failed.
If it didn't wobble, I would personally just completely not even follow that TikTok channel.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like they don't really know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
In the nicest possible way, not really wanting to kind of, don't really like kind of, I think the word is with other people and that.
Yeah.
But just the fact that that's going to be very misleading, very confusing, and also make you overly worry about things you don't need to be worrying about.
Yeah.
Who was it? Was it DGN?
That is it.
Because he sometimes some of the stuff he says he's a bit over the top.
Yeah.
Which is why I wouldn't really personally recommend him, because it's for me his content more makes people worry, because any little things, it's like some of the stuff is correct, but some of it is it's not correct. So yeah, like I said, as long as you can control the wheel, then yeah, it's perfectly fine. Just sort of raise your hand and say thank you. If of course I'm not going to do it myself, but if of course you raise your hand and that meant you sort of wobbled, that's very different. Now also at this stage in your driving, Zain, I wouldn't recommend you thank someone. Let me do that. The reason being is because I think it's, with all due respect, because you're new, I think it's more likely if you try to thank someone you might lose a bit of control of the car.
Yeah.
But as your driving develops, if you can keep control of the car while thanking them, perfect. We want to encourage kind of courtesy on the road.
Yeah.
And they're not going to mark that down on tests as long as you keep control of the car. So with the trust, sort of getting that more trust in the other drivers, because that's a bit balanced. You can't of course be assuming that everyone else is going to follow the rules, but equally you can't kind of be driving around assuming that everyone's trying to kill you.
Yeah.
You have to have the correct sort of balance. How do we know then? For example, with let's take the example of the left turn where there's a bit of concern with the oncoming traffic if they're going to turn in front of you.
Yeah.
How can we tell that oncoming traffic is actually going to give way to you?
Slowing down.
Yeah. Because I don't know if you noticed that all those times they were all slowing.
Yeah.
So that needs to give the reassurance that they're slowing, so I keep going.
Yeah.
And that even rhymes. So. And that's generally the thing that they're slowing, you keep going. So generally the way to think about it with other sort of road users. If they're not slowing, or they're not driving slowly, because it could be they're not slowing because they're already driving very slow, like I think we had yesterday. So if they're not slowing, or they're not driving slowly, then what do you think your response would need to be?
Slow down.
Yeah. Although like you said, just slow down, because you wouldn't want to just stop, because they might just be slow and very late. So you just slow and be prepared to stop. But also you've got to remember as well, you need to just have trust in me, that if they did start to pull out, I'm going to sort of like help you. You've got the pedals there. Because what we can't do, Zain, we can't be kind of getting overly worried about the traffic, and then you slow and stop unnecessarily, and that's potentially going to be quite dangerous. we're turning left at the one that's slightly busier, if you know where the whole theatre is, that one. When we approached it and we make a decision on approach of like sort of what I'm doing here, thinking is it safe to go? Yes it is. And once we've made that decision, I'm noticing that sometimes you're sort of looking back to the right.
Yeah.
And that's something I want to see if you can avoid doing. For a T-junction you would do that, but for a roundabout, and those situations there, once you've committed, you've got to commit to it, because if you look back and then you see a car and then your brain panics, what might we end up doing? Where might we end up being stopped? So that's my concern. If you look back and then you panic, so you see a car, then you stop. Like if I look back here and try to stop that car coming, where am I going to end up being stopped? Yeah. So there's a certain point where you've also got to commit and think, I'm committed now. I need to just focus on doing my turn with roundabouts. That's a little bit different with T-junction slightly. Because like we talked about last time, because of the difference with T-junctions, people coming faster. Roundabouts, they're coming slower. They're going to be probably 15, 20 miles an hour or so. So you can apply a slightly different approach and show slightly less caution. So yeah, that's obviously something to work on, to improve on, getting more used to getting that balance of the amount of trust to have in other road users. What about things that went well today? What things do you think well and what got better?
The T-junction, signalling or checking mirrors, the distance I keep from cars.
Yeah.
Slowing down on approach.
Mirrors are definitely better, weren't they? Much better at the habit of kind of doing mirrors and signals, definitely much better. And the mirrors going around parked vehicles, or before you steer around a parked vehicle, I should say. And yeah, the distance from parked vehicles, I'd agree with, was definitely looking very nice. And yeah, you say the slowing, so the slowing from a higher speed thing, and they're kind of trusting the brake more. Yeah, definitely. What's the thing to improve on with right turns? With this parked vehicles near a right turn, like a right emerge, sorry, so like a T-junction.
Yeah.
What's the thing we need to make sure we're doing there?
Well, if this vehicle was parked on the side.
Yeah, do you remember we had a few times where I had to help you when we're doing emerging at a T-junction, turning right, and there's parked vehicles right next on approach to the right turn.
Slow down early.
Yeah.
Change gears early, so that I'll have the gears done, the speed checked, and I'm ready for brake if needed. And all I need to do is just focus on my positioning.
Yeah. So it should almost be stopped, really, shouldn't it? So you've got all the speed and the gears done. So you're almost stopped next to the kind of the final parked vehicle.
Yeah.
So then that means that you can focus on the positioning, because where do you want to be looking if your parked vehicle's on your left? If you know what I mean, if you can visualise what we did.
So we're looking at this mirror here and checking when we've gone past them, and then when we've gone past them,
Yeah, so cool. Because the only way you'll be able to do that mirror check, or not looking in the mirror, but more looking towards the mirror, is if you're at that very slow speed, almost stopped.
Yeah.
So because if you're only fast, you won't feel confident to do that.
Yeah.
You won't feel confident to take your eyes off the road to check that way.
Yeah.